to 99. One to go. Here's the moment. Franklin's got it. In he comes on 99 goals. Lands. Franklin joins the 100 club. And people power has spoken. Out they come by their thousands. Just the 28th man in 150 years of AFL to reach the magical 100.
Numbers 4 to the ball here. Warner surely he looks for number 23. Got him on short. And he's got it, but 999 goals, Buddy Franklin. The legend becomes immortal.
There he is, 100 goals in a season for Hawthorn, his 1,000th goal just last year playing for the Sydney Swans. What a player he's been, what a privilege it's been to watch him. And even though we knew the end was coming, it's so sad to see a Buddy Franklin-sized hole in the game. Here's Swans coach John Longmire.
He moves on to the next phase of his life, so we're very lucky to have, obviously clearly experienced one of the all-time greats, and I feel really privileged to be able to have coached him for a portion of his career, a large portion of his career, and I think we're all grateful for watching him. You put a bloke who was as tall on him and he'd beat you at ground level and beat you with speed. You put a smaller bloke on him and he'd outmark you. He was almost impossible to match up on. I'm sure in the fullness of time he'll look back on the last few weeks and think he was still playing pretty good footy. I think that'll give him some comfort.
What a player. You were actually in the Hawthorn 100 goals.
Yeah, it was 2007, I think, or was, 15, 16 years ago. I ran onto the field that night. I broke for the opposition that night, Carlton. Brendan Favola was on 99, didn't get to 100 that night, but just to be on the field. And Buddy Franklin, I was at the SCG a couple of weeks ago. He's just magnetic to watch, and whenever he's on the field, the whole crowd is drawn to him, and he's sold so many tickets for Sydney, and rightfully so. Absolute superstar.
He's had the biggest impact of AFL in Sydney than anyone else. And like you said, people would just go to the SCG just to see Buddy. It wasn't about supporting the Swans. It was just to go and watch the Buddy Franklin show.
Yeah, massive presence and would play, would live up to it. Just incredible.
I thought it was a classic he didn't go to his farewell press conference. An enigma to the end. Tony, do you know anyone that knows him well?
Jacinta apparently knows him quite well.
So, Tony,
but what's he like? What's Buddy Franklin like?
No, well, look, I don't know him very well. I mean,
he's quiet.
He's quiet. He's exactly right. He hates the limelight. He loves it. It's only when he gets over and onto that white line where he suddenly is the most charismatic beast you've ever seen. It's not like he's that, regularly. And did you care that he wasn't there? Did it upset you that he wasn't there?
Not at all, but I just found it interesting. Yeah. I can't think of another person who's ever done it.
Yeah.
He must be very much liked, because you just see the outpour of support that he's had from past players that just said that it's been a privilege to watch him and have a front row seat to everything that he's done. So it's incredible. Yeah.
So what about for Sydney now? The hole that he leaves, for the Swans, how do they fill that void?
Yeah, it will be interesting, won't it? They've got a lot of, and partly because of him, they've got a lot, young local guys who are coming through, which is great. But they've always had some kind of charismatic figurehead.
Yeah,
whether it be from Warren Kappa to Lockett,
Barry Hall.
Barry Hall. There's always been that kind of figure. I don't know what Dustin Martin's doing over the next couple of years.
Yeah, but there is talk that he's going to go straight to legendary status. So generally, 5 or 6 years after a very good player retires, they might go into the Hall of Fame. But there's only been a couple of players that have done that. Lee Matthews, Tony Lockett. So, he deserves it.
Absolutely extraordinary. He deserved actually to go out kicking a bag in a grand final. Instead, that final act on the footy field, what was this? A little handoff to Chad Warner, who had ironically kicked him the ball before his 1,000th. Does the calf muscle, says, nah, I'm done, and he's sitting it out. But that's not the way we'll remember him.
You just wonder what's going through his mind there. He's probably lots of memories, lots of... That's a great shot of him, man.
Yeah. And he was really good only a few weeks ago, so he really has. He's got every bit out of himself, absolutely.
An absolute joy and privilege to have been there on many...
You're always emotional, eh?
You are. Do you need that hanky?
No, he's a big part of my life recently.
It's been quite a few.
Dave, your Carlton boys, I'd like you to get emotional now if you don't mind. That would be terrific. They've done the seemingly impossible. They've led Collingwood Collingwood at three-quarter time and not got run down.
Yeah, I didn't find out till after the game because I just had to turn it off. I said, I had to turn it off. I said, I can't see Collingwood beat us again. I said to my wife, you tell me at 10:30 if we've won or not. And she came at 10:30 and said, I'm not telling you. I said, you have to tell me. She said, you're going to watch it like a man. I said, I can't if they lost. You tell me they won. And she eventually told me, so I watched it.
Carlton have just had an incredible form lately. 6 from 6. They had a pretty shocking start to the season.
When I was last on this show, I wanted the club disbanded.
Yes.
But it's true. You sat over there and the lid was wobbling on the saucepan and you were so close to just venting, weren't you?
I was. I've tried not to vent. I vent in a WhatsApp group and I haven't vented publicly, but I did want them disbanded. And but now I think we're going to win the grand final.
And this was without Walsh and Mackay. So they did that without the two, and they've beaten number 1 and number 2.
I think we're going to win the grand final.
Yep.
I do. Yep.